Hello, my amazing Algebra Half students. This is Mrs. A, and I love math. I'm hoping that you're getting to love math a little bit more as you learn more of Algebra 1/2 or pre-algebra. I think it's a very fun subject. Okay, so now today we're talking about 3-digit divisors. And look at all those numbers. We have lots of numbers. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is remember that our divisor cannot have decimals in it when we divide. So we're going to end up having to clear the decimal, and then I'm going to write it in proper division form. So this one is my divisor. This is the one I'm dividing by. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the decimals. So I have to move 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the right, which means I have to come over here to my dividend and move it 4 places to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4 places to the right. So I wanted to do that before I put it in division form because I only wanted to have to write it once. Okay, so we're taking this one and dividing by this one. So now this one is in the front to 15. Okay, a whole number. And then we're going to divide this, which is going to be 416.23 by the 215. Okay, so now we have a number, 215, which does not go into 4. It does not go into 441, but it does go into 416. And if I look at this, double this number would be 430, so that I know it only goes into 416 one time. So I'm going to put the 1 above the first number that it actually goes into. A lot of students try to put the number here, but that's wrong. 215 did not go into 4. It did not go into 41, but it did finally go completely into 416. So the 6 is the first number that should have something above it. So 1 times 215 is 215. I'm going to subtract. 6 minus 5 is 1, and 1 minus 1 is 0, and 4 minus 2 is 2. And then I'm going to bring down, and I always check this is less than the 215. I bring down the 2, and then I go again. So 215 does not go into 2 or 20 or 201. The first thing it goes into is here. And so we're going to estimate it's going to go in, say, maybe 9 times, because we know 10 times would be too big, because that would be 2150, and that would be too big. So let's do 9 times. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 1 is 9 plus 4 is 13. And 9 times 2 is 18 plus 1 is 19, and we made it. So we're going to be able to subtract, but we're going to have to borrow. So we're going to come over here, make that a 0, and make this a 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. 0 minus 3 doesn't work, so we're going to go all the way over here, make that a 1, make that a 10, and then make it a 9, and then make that a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 9 minus 9 is 0, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So these two lead zeros we don't even need. 77 is less than 215. So now we're going to bring down our 3, and 215 will go into 773. I'm thinking it will go 3 times. So 3 times 5, 15. And 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. And 3 times 2 is 6. And when we subtract, we're going to have to do a little bit of borrowing here. And 13 take away 5 is 8. And 6 take away 4 is 2. And 1. Okay, so we end up with 128 as our remainder. Okay, so now remember, when we get down here, we don't have any more here, but we could add a 0. We can add as many zeros as we want to add, and we don't have any decimal places. Well, we have the decimal right here, So it just depends on how many places you're supposed to take it out. In your book, they take it out a couple more places here. I just noticed that I did not do exactly the same problem that was in the book. The problem that we have here is correct, but it's not the same as your book problem. So now you have 2 examples, okay, of division. So this one is not the exact same as the book problem because I had an extra 0 before, right after the decimal, which made it 10 different by a factor of 10. So we're okay, but you now have 2 examples of how to do it. So now we had 128, and we're going to bring down, we want to do it one more time. So we're going to bring down another 0, because we can keep adding zeros all day long, can't we? Because we're after the decimal, it's not going to change things. So now 2 into 12, it's not going to go a full 6 times because the 15 and the 80, so we're going to say 5 times. Okay, so 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7, and 5 times 2 is 10. And then when we subtract, we're going to get this one. We have to borrow here: 7, 10, 5, 0, 2, and that's it. Okay, so I'm not going to take it out anymore because we're out of room, and we got 1.935. Your book got 19.35 because they had a different decimal here. But we have 2 examples, and both problems are correct. They were just 2 different problems. The second part of this lesson is all about multiplication word problems, and it's really very easy. This is going to be a very short lesson, y'all. So the first problem that is an example says the second game score was 25 times the first game score. So they're using the word times to let you know there's going to be some multiplication coming. If Harriet had scored 14,025 points in the first game, how many points did she score in the second game? Well, if you know that she scored 25 times what she scored on the first one, wouldn't you take the 2 numbers and multiply them together? 14,025 times 25. And they do the work for you in the book. So I'm not going to do that problem because they show you how to do it in the book. The second one says Roger scored 26,142 points in the first game. He scored 7 times this many points in the second game. How many points did he score in all? Okay, so now we have a little bit of a different problem because in the first one, they just multiplied by 25 because they wanted to know how many were in the second game. But in the second example, they said how many points were scored in all. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to take the 26,142 and we're going to multiply it by 7 to find out how much he made in the second game. So the first game was 26,142, right? And then the second game was 7 times that. So I'm just going to get that out of the book. 26,142 times 7 is going to be 182,994. I'm just going to copy that down. Okay, so in the second game, he had this times 7, which is 182,994. So now we're not done because this is what he made in the second game, but they want to know how much you made in both games altogether. So wouldn't we have to add those 2 together now? And that's what they did. And that's why they got 209,136 is the answer. So we have to watch out for multi-part problems. problems that have two steps. We had to take the 26,142. We had to multiply it by 7, and then we had to add that back to the 26,142 to find out how much in all. So we had to add those two together to get the final answer, which they have under example 13.3. So now let's do our practice. It says, inflation caused the price of everything to increase. The price of an item after inflation was 4 times the price before inflation. If an item cost $5.67 before inflation, what did it cost after inflation? Okay, well, this one is not a complicated multi-step problem, is it? It's just one step. We take $5.67 and we multiply by 4, because before inflation it was $5.67, and after inflation it's 4 times that. So we're just going to multiply times 4, and that's it. So 7 times 4 is 28, 6 times 4 is 24, plus 2 is 26, and 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2, or 22, and we had 2 decimal places. So now the same item is going to be $22.68, and I lost the room, but there's my dollar sign. I don't have room for it. And guess what? We're done with our lesson, and we're done with our practice, and now it's time for you to go do your homework. And this is Mrs. A, and may God bless your day.